Nigerians have been known to be industrious in their various career paths around the world. In 2015, Paschal Dike, a Nigerian, was elected as the 71st president of Junior Chambers International (JCI) in the city of Kanazawa, Japan, attended by over 10,000 delegates from more than 100 countries. As president, Paschal traveled around the world to about 50 countries, spreading the message of JCI to young people in their communities, meeting partners, governments, corporate organizations, and other non-for-profits, and working with members in projects and other civil engagements. Today we have Paschal Dike share his insights on leadership and how he made such impact irrespective of the obvious challenges and obstacles. Paschal, welcome to the BTC show.
My pleasure, Charles. Thank you for having me.
Good to have you.
Thank you.
Like I said, it's my honor to have the president in my own small corner of the world.
We are presidents in our own little ways, you know.
So, to anyone who is living under the rock, who is Mr. Paschal Dike?
Paschal Dike is a regular everyday Nigerian, a young boy who was born in a typical Nigerian village where there were challenges, very little opportunities, and who said to himself, it doesn't matter where you were born, you cannot indulge in an excuse. You must make the best out of the circumstance. So I took advantage when I had the opportunity and decided and said to myself that I want to learn. I started studying people, I started studying friends, and that's the process for me. And today I have the opportunity to have worked with people, followed people, led people, and I'm still following and leading even till today.
Okay, now interestingly, in 2016, from nowhere, an African became the global president of JCI in faraway Japan. Now, the interesting thing about it is that it was the first time we had an African, and you were the third black man to ever occupy that post. JCI is Junior Chambers International, and it has existed for 100 years.
Yes.
So for the past 100 years, we've had 3 black men, and you were the third.
One black man.
Okay.
I'm the second black person.
The second black person.
Yeah.
But you're the first African.
First Nigerian, fourth African.
Fourth African. Super good. How were you able to carbonate from your own from that village boy?
Yeah, Charles, thank you. You know, I look back to my background. I was, like I told you, I was born in a village, and I spent nearly 12 years of my life there. And this is where there were no access road, no electricity. You lived in homes that today nobody wants to talk about. But I'm not ashamed to talk about it because for me that's a story.
Awesome.
You know, where you didn't have the everyday amenities, basically, you know, potable water, you know, and all of that. They were not there. But at nearly 12, I went to the city for the first time, and you know, trying to fit into the city life was so difficult as a young village boy. But I said to myself that the only way to make it was to learn from people. So you know, those days you sit in a classroom and then you see your mates who were coming from very well-to-do homes, you know, when we were born in you know, the US and the UK and all of that. And I found myself in the same class with these people, and it was so difficult, you know, coping. But I took time to study them. And when I go home, I try to put into practice what I had learned from them. And that was my step, one step at a time. But when I got to the university and encountered JCI, it was just for one reason that I joined. Being a village boy, I would say, I had difficulty in speaking, and I thought joining JCI will help me to improve my ability to speak, to communicate, to interact with people, and that was the only reason I joined. And there was no intention on my own part at the time to occupy offices. But as time went on, I realized that there were bigger opportunities within the organization. You can build friendship, you can build bridges, you can get involved in projects. There are a lot of personal development opportunities. And that was how I started. And I had the opportunity to serve JCI in Nigeria as national president in 2008. And in 2009, I went international to serve as JCI international vice president. Assigned to 8 countries in Africa, and I was asking myself, how am I going to travel to these 8 countries, talking to young people, inspiring them, letting them understand why they must continue to create impact, in the face of challenges. But the story of the presidency is something that I consider a very humbling experience. Till today, I still sit and ask myself, is it really me, that had that opportunity? When I was preparing to be president in 2015, I was traveling around the world, selling myself.
You went to 75 countries?
I went to 57 countries in 2016, but totally, and traveling for JCI, I've traveled to 75 countries.
Awesome.
And, when you go to some countries and they begin to look at you and say, this is a Nigerian with a Nigerian passport, would you be able to travel, represent JCI, and all of that? And of course, we've had a couple of challenges in this country. Some of them still exist, and I believe surely that we're going to get, over them. And some of the questions that I was faced with was, you have a green passport, how are you going to be able to travel? And you come from a country whose economy was not as strong, and of course there were issues of Boko Haram in some parts of the country, and I had the responsibility, to paint my country in a positive light, to explain to them that it's not what you think and what you watch over television and all of that. Nigeria is much more than that. There are a lot of intelligent people, smart people, hardworking people. And I was supported with a lot of doubt in the minds of those who were supporting me. But when I got elected in Kanazawa in Japan in November 2015, I said to myself...
So November is a memorable month for you.
Very memorable,
and
it's something I will never forget. And I said to myself, Charles, that I'm a Nigerian.
Yeah.
And I know that there are a lot of challenges, and I am disadvantaged in some way because of where I come from. But what can I do to prove to the world that Nigeria is not what I think and what I see? And I made a decision that I was going to do my best to be an extraordinary president. Not in person, as I'm an ordinary person, but I wanted to do something extraordinary to prove to the world that from this part of the world, something good could come out of it. And I'm proud to say that I traveled to 57 countries, even though I was estimated to have the capacity at the time to travel to maybe about 30 or 35 countries. And I met people, presidents of country, heads of government, captains of industries. I met people who live in poverty, in wealth, you name it. I had the opportunity to have gone to the best places in the world and also the worst places. At the end of the day, what I have taken back from that experience is life is nothing, if you cannot create impact. Life is nothing if you cannot lend a hand to support the next person. Life is nothing if you're not willing to share what you have. And life is nothing if you only live it for yourself. And that's now why I'm willing and ready to share my experiences and what I have, gathered from JCI in my 20 years of membership, particularly the experience in 2016. And that's why I'm here. So it still baffles a lot of people when they hear that I had the opportunity to serve as president. Because if being president was to be determined by how much money you have, I probably wouldn't get there. If it's determined by how intelligent and smart you are, I probably would never have got there. But I want to say that I had in mind that I'm a Nigerian, and I wanted to prove a point. And I did prove that point. I'm happy that I did.
No, I'm super proud you did. Now, we're in an era we call the social era, where everything is moved by the internet.
Correct.
The currency of this era is, like you said, is not even your own money. Most of the time, it's people will easily buy into you because of what they believe. People believe you first before they know how much you have. And for you to have been able to tour this country, you've met diverse characters.
Correct.
And the currency we're looking at from you is global collaboration.
Yes.
How are you able to build these several bridges? Because the biggest currency most young people would have, most millennials would have to thrive, it's collaboration. So how
Correct.
are you able to have that global collaboration and still stay relevant, even being a Nigerian and irrespective of what the world thought about you?
Thank you, Charles. I think the first thing is for each person who desires to build a collaboration or group to first identify what you want to get out of that collaboration. You must first of all identify a need. Okay, it could be a need that will serve the society, it could be a need to serve people. So when you identify the need, the first question is, where can you get, a partner? Where can you get someone who thinks like you, like-minded person, who can connect with you to be able to address it? And such a person must also have a similar need or something close to it, so you can work together. Now, while I was traveling, and like I did say to you, I said to myself that I'm a Nigerian. And I tell people that, when you lead, you can either lead with your head or your heart. I can lead with both. And first, I needed to show the world my heart. You don't forget the fact that in most parts of the world, the image of this country, it's not as beautiful as we know.
I completely agree.
It is. It's a beautiful country, but that's not the way it is seen. So as a Nigerian, first and foremost, I had the duty and responsibility to distribute the minds of people, outside here, to paint this country in a positive light, to sell Nigeria in the best way that I could. First, to give that confidence and guarantee before you can talk about building a collaboration. So the first thing is to, change the dynamics. Let people understand that this country is beautiful, it has great minds, intelligent people, hardworking people. So that was the first thing I did when I traveled. And the next thing is to also let people understand that even though I'm a Nigerian, I'm also a global citizen. Okay, global citizen because when you sit in your home or anywhere, you have access to a mobile phone, you have access to, the internet. It means you can connect with anybody, anywhere around the world. And I had to use that as an opportunity to tell people, look, we can connect people. And because one of the things we try to achieve as an organization was what we say, connect the three pillars of the society: government, business, and civil society groups. And whether I like it or not, every organization will find itself in any of these three. And therefore, I took a responsibility as president of JCI to connect young people. So if I visit Cambodia, for example, I know I exchange, business cards with people, I exchange, contact with people. And then when I go to a country like the Philippines, I share the story of Cambodia and the Philippines. And sometimes I make the connection. And so a young person in the Philippines can connect with someone in Cambodia, a young person in Nigeria can connect with another one, in Kenya, and they can start a discussion on what they can do together. And because today, you don't need to sit and think, how can I raise the money to buy a ticket to travel to the US or to travel to Japan?
But I was about to ask that question.
No, you can sit in the comfort of your home and make the connection, Charles. And today I can confidently say I have a network in over 100 countries. Yes, this may not be seen as money, but network, is a net worth. And when you convert that, it's a lot of money. But it's not money meant for you. It's money that you can actually share with people, connect them to the world, and they can make the connections. So that's how I approached it. how the young people there think, what are the things they're focusing on, and that is preparedness. So yes, very few Nigerians are doing that, but there are a large chunk of Nigerians, young people, who are yet, to take the bull by the horn and move, and that's where we should focus at this time.
If you were not part of the JCI, if you didn't have the opportunity of the JCI, because it's easy for me to, the good part of your story was that I like the part where you didn't have any extra money somewhere. You didn't have an uncle like a Dangote.
Yes.
You didn't have those extra magics that could help work. You created your own magic.
Correct.
Now, but let's assume you didn't have those platforms. And we all know most of the times, it's not that those young people are not adventurous. I am of the opinion, I've seen people that could do more than those on the limelight. But somehow, the opportunity to, there are few people in the feces. There are few influencers that are able to come and tell their own story. They're able to tell them, because if I see someone on the spot, the first thing is, you do a background check. Where did he get that extra money from? The mindset is hard for you to find someone that finally had that, let me see, grace to riches story. But for you, what would you finally see is it for, who was Paschal? How did removing the JCI, what would you say were your own habits that brought you? Because if you told me JCI made you who you, I won't completely agree. I felt you groomed yourself before. JCI was just like you got into an amazing club.
The platform.
That sold you out. So there were several things you did that made you different from everyone. So what were those things that you finally did that made it sellable for you even when you got to that platform?
I'll tell you frankly, the first thing has to do with what I learned from my father. And I use this quote everywhere I go, and you know what my father said to me a long time ago. He said, the loss of money, the loss of wealth, properties, these are great losses. But the loss of honor is such a loss that no man can restore. And he did say to me, whatever you do in life, make sure you keep your honor intact and work hard. You know, it doesn't matter what it seems. If you work hard, someday you will be there. So when I started, I said to myself, of course, there'll be difficult, there'll be challenging. So I prepared myself for it. I knew there were. I didn't expect it to be rosy, to be smooth. You know, even in my present life, in the business that I do today, I tell my team members, I say, look, we're going to have, a rough road going into what we need to, but we will get there. So that was the mindset, to understand there will be challenges, but also have that positive, mindset to say we will overcome it and we will get there. So that was my preparedness. Number two, I am always willing to learn. There are people who are not willing. So it doesn't matter whether you're learning from someone who is much younger than yourself or older, your mate. What is important is, are you willing to learn? Are you humble enough to open yourself up to people to say, look, this is what I don't know? And that's why sometimes the issue of, mentor-mentee kind of relationship comes in. You must identify someone, who you would depend on, who you will run to, who will seek advice, who will guide you. So even before I joined JC, I identified one or two persons who once in a while I share my challenges with them, and they will always have to guide me. So those were my preparation processes before I joined JCI. So when I got to JCI, it was more like a platform. And I had to go back to what my father told me, to what my mentor said to me and all of that. And I said, wow, so I have to now move in JCI based on those fundamental principles and advice that I have got from my father and my mentors. So that's it for me. So every person must have a mindset to say, you want to get to somewhere from point A to B, but between those 2 points, there's a great distance. What do you have to do to get there? And that was the question I asked, and I had my answers before I stepped in. So JC only provided a platform to help me achieve that which I already had dreamed about. But of course, there was no dream of being president. But I knew that I could get to anywhere I want to get to, because there's a saying that whatever the mind can conceive and believe, that it can also achieve. So when I thought about the presidency, the first time in 2013, I said, well, it was really possible. Even though I wasn't sure it was going to happen, but I had to work for it. So you must start from somewhere. You must tell yourself, this is where you want to go, and these are the people that you need, because you need a support system, whether you like it or not. And it could be a family member, it could be a friend, it could be a coach, it could be a mentor, or you need a support system. And that's something you need to identify before you go into your career process.
Okay, awesome. Now, what's a typical day in your life? What's your own typical day like? Let's say you're not traveling to Amsterdam, to Germany, to anywhere in the world. You have your own normal day.
Somehow travels have become part of my life. But believe me, Charles, when I sit either in my home or my office, what I think every day is, how can I affect the life of the next young person? Okay. Believe me. And life for me is not about money. I have never been driven by money or wealth. I know I'm not going to starve. I know the family is not going to starve. But I think, if we can create more wealthy people, then we'll have a better world. If you come in a country or a family or a society where there are just a few persons who are wealthy, then someday those who are poor and hungry could feast on the very wealthy people. I don't want that to happen.
I completely agree with
you. So
you.
what I think every day is, what can I do to affect the young person? And that's why I can invest everything I have, to groom young people. And that is what I'm committing my life now to do.
Okay, three more questions. One, there's been this recurrent trend among change makers globally.
Yes.
Now, looking at the background of where this part of the world, where being a change maker is not completely, which word should I use that will sink now? It's not what you do for a living.
Yeah.
Good. Now, but the new generation coming after you believe this is what they cash into. I want to change the world.
Sure.
And most of them who change the world finally have not finally affected their own selves. And the challenge we finally have is where we have most people become change makers and they don't measure up in their own worlds.
Correct.
Now there is this mismatch. Now for you that have seen the two worlds, what would be your own advice to that person that wants to change the world, that would finally has to change himself first?
Yes. No, the truth is you cannot give what you don't have. That's very important. And if you want to venture into anything, whether you want to change the world, change young people, whatever, you need to first ask, who are you?
Perfect.
Now, where are you coming from? Because people will do a research, they will do due diligence, they will check you out to know who you are. And you need to first of all be able to open yourself up to learning, to develop yourself. Today, if I go to somewhere to talk to young people, I can proudly say because I have a hindsight of experience. I'm coming from somewhere, and they can check me out. Today, if I say I want to, inspire young people, like I said, I have a hindsight of experience. I'm coming from somewhere, so it's the same thing. So if you say you want to change the world, you need to change yourself. If you say you want to create millionaires, you need to ask yourself, are you a millionaire first? If you say you want to change the mindset of young people, what's your own mindset first? So you need to share a story. If there's no story behind it, because for me, I believe that sometimes people believe you more when you have a story. If you say, I have come here to talk to you people about how you can change yourself, and then you share your story about how you change yourself, they connect more easily. It's not enough to make references to books and movies and people's speeches and quotes. What's your own? And that's what is most important.
So what you're saying is that you have to do the work before you go to
exactly, you have to do the work. I mean, you cannot say you want to coach people without being coached before, without saying this is how I came to where I am. So it is important. And young people need to do what I call soul search. They need to do an introspective kind of search themselves to say, what do you have? What is that unique thing that you have? I say every human being is an ordinary person. It is what we do that differentiates the ordinary and the extraordinary. Okay, and that's why you see a young person, very ordinary, and 10 years, 15 years down the line, does extraordinary things. And people begin to wonder, is it the same guy that we know? What's the difference? It's your determination, that never say die attitude, never giving up, never quitting. That's what we want young people to get involved in. So you cannot change people when you have not changed yourself. And you cannot, change people at the detriment of your own self. That's very important.
So, if today is your last day, if you're on your deathbed and you've done everything you're meant to do, what's that one thing that you know everyone will be on everyone's lips about you? Not the lies we tell when people die.
True.
The truth.
The truth.
the truth that you've lived all your life and you really want the world to remember you for.
Thank you, Charles. There's this popular quote, I can't remember the author now. He says that no man, no woman has any right to come into the world, live through it, and exit without justifying the reason to have come in the first place. So I believe that life is not about how long you live it, it's about how well. So you can live 90 years and you make no impact. You can live 25 and you have great impact. And I tell people today, the likes of Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, these are dead people. But for me, they continue to live because their work drive people, inspire people, okay, engineer people to do extraordinary things. And therefore, every day when I sit down, I say, look, okay, ask if it's my last day today, what will be that? Charles, I'll tell you, I'll build friendship, you know,
Okay.
and I'm one person that when I stand with you, I stand with you. When I believe with you, I believe with you. I believe you. And therefore, I know that without singing my own song, I don't want to say what people will think. I'll let that time happen and let people think. But one thing I know is that I have built friendship, you know, that people can say, well, we can trust this gentleman, okay? And that when I'm with you, when I support you on something, I can invest everything that I have to make sure, you know, we get where we're going. And because I also enjoy the same kind of support and investment from people, so I have to give it back. That's what is important, you know. So for me, that is what I have going. That friendship, that bridge I have built, and the fact that when I'm with you, I'm with you, and people know that. And that my life story has inspired a lot of young people today who are doing very, very well. I'm proud. Some are even doing better than I am doing. But these are the people that I inspired. So if my story inspired people to do better than myself, and that's why they say the prayer of a father is that the son should do much better. So when I see people I've mentored and supported doing very well, I'm happy and I'm satisfied. And I can't ask for anything more, you know, and I look forward to seeing them, you know, grow, blossom, and I can sit down somewhere someday and smile as I'm part of the success of the gentleman or that young lady.
Okay, very last one. Would you say finally you've broken your own coconut?
No, Charles, I believe I still have a lot